Come on in. Let's talk about this. What up, y'all? Welcome to San Miguel TV. Let's talk about Venezuela. Let's talk about these things, yo. What is going on, my peoples? San Miguel TV is live once again in full effect. Welcome to the live stream. Maduro is captured. Come on, man. We celebrating, baby. It's a celebration. I don't think you understand what's going on and what's been going on in Venezuela. You know, I don't even fully understand it. I'm not from Venezuela, so I'm looking at the people celebrating, and I don't understand how that would be delusional if, there's proof that Maduro lost the 2024 election, so the majority of the people actually didn't want him. So the fact that he's being taken down and they celebrate, it makes sense. I don't know what you're talking about. That's why we need to talk about these things. You know, I talk about Black Americans because I'm in America. I'm an American, so I speak on that. But Venezuelans are saying, yo, Americans need to stop criticizing Venezuelans for celebrating. You know, because y'all have this false revolutionary mind. Black Americans think the revolution. I've been talking about the revolution for decades and have not realized that what you need to do is adapt to this country and acknowledge this country as your own. You are an American. You want to be a traitor to your country, and you want to be this revolutionary type of socialist, communist. Like, that's what Hebrew Israelites and a lot of these cults and pro-black movements are, for whatever reason, filled with this communistic, this love of communism, which has been destroying the country of Venezuela for the last 26, 27 years. And when Hugo Chavez was in power, when he came in 1999, the whole economy went through a big change, and he left behind a failing economy, a country that all they have is that oil. But to become just a CEO in Venezuela, you have to jump through all types of hoops and pay all types of fines, and you're going to be basically in the government's pocket. There's no freedom. There was no freedom in Venezuela. You know, so let's talk about Venezuela, right? That's what we're talking about. Celebrating Maduro's fall symbolizes liberation and freedom and a whole new chance of opportunity now in Venezuela that hasn't been there. The election was stolen in 2024 by President Maduro, who was basically handed the country because he was trusted by Hugo Chavez pretty much to take over, and that was leading up to his death in 2013. Hugo Chavez died, and then Maduro took over, and the country was in shambles already. You know, this anti-American way of thinking. Like, this is all going to benefit you. Why would we want Venezuela to be allies? One of our most powerful neighbors, to be allies with our enemies like China and Russia and Cuba. which countries are pretty much ran by socialists, by dictators. It's been ran by dictators. People kill me wearing the Fidel Castro shirts and trying to be like Che Guevara. All this communism that has been spread through South America is actually not benefiting it. The socialism. It's the United Socialist Party that has been running Venezuela for the last 27 years has been leading to more starvation, more protests, and Maduro shouldn't have taken hostages, American hostages either, because that's something you don't hear people talking about, the American hostages that were taken by Maduro, the illegal election that he refused to, step down after he clearly lost. This is all things that would led up to what happened in Venezuela. The connections to drug cartels, all of that. This is all going to benefit this country in the long run. Okay, and it's not like this is not something that people want too. Like, it's what the Venezuelan people want. And Maria Machado is one of our strongest allies in Venezuela, and she has the people behind her. That's why you have people that leaving the country over the last 13 years, since 2013. You've had 7.7 million Venezuelans come to America seeking some type of refuge and asylum, some legally, some illegally. So these are all facts that you could look up. It's definitely a smart move by Trump. I'm not mad. As an American, I feel like this shit kind of boosts the strength of America. We've been wanting to have better relations with, of course, Venezuela, who has the highest producers of oil in the world. They pretty much give 19% of the world's oil is produced by Venezuela. 19%, making it the biggest country to pretty much produce oil in the world. Number one. So it's not a bad idea as a leader of a country to have a strong power as an ally like that. And when you have a dictator, a socialist that doesn't believe in the power of the people, while people are poor, starving, you have Cubans running the show. Maduro went to Cuba for a whole year after he became president of Venezuela and spent a whole year in Cuba learning how to run the country the way that Cuba runs the country. It's a whole socialist plan and the Marxist rule book, the Marxist book, playbook, that doesn't allow people to have to create cash flow, and the economy completely relies, mostly I'll say, relies on its government and the moves that the government is making. When you can have CEOs come out of your own country and create better cash flow, a better economy, create jobs where you're going to create more taxpayers. Now you're going to have people contributing to your society. That's how a capitalistic economy works. When you have a socialistic economy, the government has its hand in everything, and it gets choked up. When this is what always tends to happen is the government gets greedy, and the officials at the top take all the money and they don't let the money trickle down to the people. And it's very easy to do that when you have so much power over a country, where you control its economy, you control the means of production, you control its oil. The people in Alaska, at least in the state of Alaska, the people that live there get some money back every year from the excess oil that the state sells. So that's one of the great things about this country. So this is what America does with Alaska. Alaska produces a lot of oil. That's why it became That's why it was a smart idea to make Alaska a state, because it's a mass producer of oil. Why would we want Russia to get more powerful and have these strong allies when this is one of our neighbors to the south, literally right across the Gulf, right across the Caribbean? So a few days ago, after Maduro had taken some American hostages as leverage, because he had a bounty already out for him. And this has been going on for a while with Trump and him. They've been going at it. And Maduro has labeled America its biggest enemy for years. So this is a mutual beef. It's not like somebody started it. It's just we just don't like the way that they function. They don't like the way that we function. They think Americans are fat, lazy, and overconsumptious. That's, of course, we are. We consume a lot, yeah, they look at us as weak, and we've been looking weak for a long time. The people that were looking for a better life started coming to America from Venezuela, and that also affects our economy. So it's, when you consider all of these things and you look at what was done, I'm not mad at it at all. But don't go out saying that you ain't going to start no new wars. Technically, I wouldn't even call this a war. There's no ongoing battles, but there's definitely tension that, anything can happen at any time. And you feel that tension, especially even more now. But at the same time, you have allies all throughout Venezuela. The Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Machado, I forget her name, Maria Comida Machado or something like that. Her middle name, I can't get, something with a C. But Maria Machado, she won a Nobel Peace Prize. America gave it to her. This has been, we've been trying to... This is like chess moves right here, if you've been watching what's been going on with America and Venezuela. And they've been stopping their drug boats from coming in to different places all around the Americas. I mean, we know they're targeting America, essentially. This is, like I said, we consume a lot of everything, especially cocaine and drugs and all of that. And Venezuela gets it, and Colombia might be related to, there might be a connection there, because the president of Colombia, Petro, is also on some very leftist, socialist type stuff. Not so much like Maduro, but yeah, Venezuela sends so much money to Cuba. A lot of its oil profits go right to Cuba. They have deals set already, and America's going to intercept all of that. And I ain't mad at that. Shit. There's arguments people can make. America's a big bully. They're trying to police the world. I get it. I see what you're saying, obviously. But as an American who sees also what's going on globally, or at least in this Western world, in the Americas, this is a top-notch move, a power move by Donald Trump that is going to put America in a way better position than it was 13, 20 years ago. Because for a long time now, America has been kind of like looking, weaker. At least to people, it looks weaker. Cuba has definitely been falling, and it's struggling to even make any money. It doesn't make. This is the problem with your socialist economy. Now you rely on the government and on trading and international stuff. So you try to make allies, and you're making allies with people that have an interest against America. And it's like all, to try to get more power in this country. And I'm telling you right now, Biden was not helping it. This shit was looking weak. Democrats didn't have a strong force at the border, and they're very soft on crime and soft on policing and soft on security. You know, they, for the most part, they do spend some money, of course, on military stuff. They both do, on both sides. It's all political stuff. But you see, politics is good to kind of understand at least what's going on to a certain extent. Sometimes it could seem like a show, but what's happening with Venezuela and America is not a show. This is real life, and you better understand what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to be talking ignorantly. You're not really going to understand what's going on, and you're going to pretty much criticize Venezuelans for celebrating what's obviously a victory on their part. Like I said, in 2024, Maduro lost the election. He's been president since 2013. They try to have some type of democracy. They didn't allow it. He lost. It was clear. He lost to Gonzalez. Gonzalez and Maria Machado are, pretty much their political enemies, his political enemies. And America felt that, they got robbed too. The people got robbed. And everything that would have been a good future for the Venezuela and America together, started looking bad because Maduro, refused to seize power and refused to step down. So he knew that they were coming for him ever since Trump got reelected. He knew that was a bad, he knew he was in trouble. Ever since for the last 4 months, they've been keeping a close eye on Venezuelan drug boats and trafficking coming out of that whole area. And they've been sending fleets, Navy fleets, America has, to monitor that whole area and even more now. And they're stopping air travel. They stopped the air travel and all of that, flights coming in and out. And there's literally Navy fleets and Navy ships all in that Caribbean area that's north of Venezuela and north of South America and east of the Gulf of Mexico, not far from Colombia. That's its neighboring country, one of its neighboring countries. It's pretty much all called Venezuela de Bolivar is the actual name, or the Republic of Bolivar. Bolivar being one of its revolutionaries that they even named the currency after Bolivar. The currency is BS, Bolivar something, I forget. That's the currency they use in Venezuela. So they do have some type of currency. They do have some type of ownership. You can have some type of private property, but it's still a socialist it's still a socialist country where the majority of the ownership is federal. It's a government. So it's a victory for the people that know what life can be like in the Americas, how you can create your own cash flow, be your own boss. And you, just like Cuba, Venezuela try to put a hold on all of that, and they control the people that way. It's not a pretty picture. It's kind of on January 6th, United States with Donald Trump. What up, Mayan Stevenson? January 6th was a joke, man. Come on. It was a joke. You had a security in the Capitol building that were literally allowing people to just walk in while the craziness was going on. And this is not a conspiracy. That's actual facts. You can see that. There's videos of that. People were taking pictures, in what do you call it? That room where they, where Nancy Pelosi be delegating from. They went into her office and all of that. Come on. They shot people and killed people that were rioting. So-called insurrection. It was nothing was happening. And Trump denounced it. You know, Trump ceded power. He's not a king. The people that were saying no kings and all of that, what do you think Maduro was doing in Venezuela? The same people that were talking about no kings are now mad that a king got dethroned in Venezuela. What is a person that refuses to step down after they literally lost an election? First of all, that's a king wouldn't have an election, but it's just a fake show to make it seem like, oh yeah, you know, I'm for democracy. And then when it shows that you lose, you're like, nah, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. Come on, man. That's a dictator is what you had in Venezuela. So people are mad talking about no kings in America, but Trump stepped down and gave the power to Biden, and Biden and the Democrats, Kamala, whatever, you know, they lost. And we have a democracy here where, you know, if you, some of y'all, oh, it's all fixed. You know, you could say, you know, there might be some things that we're not aware of, and you know, people look into that. There's the fraud doesn't seem to be so widespread, but there is some fraud. It's obvious. You know, that could possibly sway votes and sway elections. But it ain't like some damn magic button that the Illuminati presses and they could just make anybody the president. That's just, you know, people think it's all a game, but it's actually, it's all, you know, something that you need to keep track of, the politics, so you can understand why these differences in these policies actually make a difference for you living in this country. It's important for you to understand these things. So you see a difference from what Biden was doing and from what Trump is doing. See, they want somebody that just lays back and just whatever. Trump is fortifying this country, I think, is what he's doing. He's making it tougher for you to think that you could do whatever you want to do. And that creates a certain environment that people are now going to be scared to commit certain crimes. Look what Florida did. Florida said that the death penalty is available for these cheap CPs. I don't want to say the word, but, you know, people that try to get with a, you know, underage. So, you know, if even, no, not if you try, there's definitely tougher judgments and all of that on those type of people. See, I don't want to say those words because, you know, they're going to flag the live stream. But yeah, let's go Mets. Let's take that lighting off. But yeah, I mean, what people are focused on so many different things in life. I get it. Politics is hard to follow. It's a little complex. You don't know what to believe sometimes. But you better believe that former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is sitting in a Brooklyn jail right now, getting his hair braided by P. Diddy and chilling with Luis Mangione. And I heard Tekashi 6ix9ine is going to be up in the prison soon. He's going to be chilling with Maduro in Brooklyn. You know, yeah, man, it's January 5th right now, Monday, January 5th. It's 9:42 p.m. Eastern time from sunny Florida. It's not sunny right now. It's nighttime, obviously. But, yeah, Trump sent troops after Maduro started getting all scared and he started taking hostages. He quickly sent a Delta force to capture Maduro. They bombed. They killed about 30 Cuban missionaries because these are some of the people that were around Maduro were Cuban missionaries that were there protecting, and you know, they were all in his cabinet, pretty much in his political cabinet, telling him what to do and learning from, you know, kind of like the wise sayers and stuff, people that will, you know, will consult, you know, political consultants and such. And those were the majority of people that were killed in the strikes. It was about 30 of them that were killed. And I think some civilians were killed also, maybe like 3 or 4. But mostly officials and most of them were from Cuba. Some were Venezuelan, but there were like 30 Cuban missionaries killed out of the, what, 40, 50 people killed in the bombing. I think it was like 40 people. So that was quick. It wasn't an ongoing war. They grabbed him up, took him out, shipped him, flew him, rather not shipped, but flew him out. And he pled not guilty today at noon when he faced trial. Mercenaries, my bad. I was saying missionaries. Mercenaries, you know, not missionaries. Missionaries deals with biblical stuff. But yeah, those were the people that were there, you know, protecting Nicolas Maduro. It's a whole thing. It's a whole allyship that they have Cuba. But no, you know, thank you, Panada 92. I think I was saying missionaries, wasn't I? Mercenaries. So, you know, they come from another country, and this is like their political allies. You know, like they're literally like they're you know, Hugo Chavez is the predecessor of Nicolas Maduro, but Hugo Chavez learned from Fidel Castro. You know, all this stuff comes from socialism, which is communism. You know, communism is more, you know, extreme, like Cuba. America has socialist programs like Social Security, welfare, housing stuff, you know, like all these are all social programs that you can see the government takes advantage of, or people do scams using social programs, using taxpayer money. They're doing it in Minnesota. This is literally what happens by, you know, the government when when the government has control over all this stuff and they don't give it out to the people. Like, these are programs available to the people that's actually, you know, ran by the government. You know, America's government isn't ran so much like Maduro's. So you have those programs that are available, and that's why some people don't like getting on those social programs, because it's like now you become a slave to the country. You become married to the government pretty much, and you rely on the government for everything. So social programs is not necessarily a good thing, because they could put you in some housing development and you don't own that housing development. The government owns it, so they can repossess it at any time, kick you out, give it to somebody else, all of that. You have no power over your own private, you know, property. You have no private ownership. You have some private ownership in Venezuela, but it's still a lot of government regulations that come with it when you understand the type of government that Venezuela has. So they try to make it seem like, oh yeah, you know, we do have some, you know, some doors that can be open, but it's like those doors are barely open. They're ajar. And the government still has their foot on your neck, just like in China, where they take ownership of anybody. If your company becomes too big, the government starts implementing all these taxes and more things. And it's like, that happens in America, yeah, but it doesn't happen the way it happens in China. You have to pay more taxes, of course, when you make more money. That's why the top 1% in this country pay 40% of the country's taxes. That's just a natural thing that happens when you get bigger. But the governments of China, Cuba, you know, Cuba's way worse. It's just, it doesn't work, and you see the people constantly trying to leave because your skills and your talents go unused. And that's why a person that cuts meat, a butcher, makes just as much money as a doctor and a baseball player and stuff like that, you know. But when a baseball player comes to America, he comes from Cuba, you know, they come here because they know the opportunity is so much greater and they can make so much more money. You know, it's not a society that's for the people at all. The government, the socialist government, they try to make it seem like they're for the people. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to work. We're going to provide everything for you, and blah, blah. It's like, but, or if you do work, you get this, you barely get anything. Everybody pretty much gets the same type of food. The government runs the food. There's grocery stores. There's no independent grocery store owner that has his own thing going on and that can manage his grocery store and his property, his business, the way that he wants. That doesn't happen in Cuba. And Venezuela was very similar to that. So it's a big power move for Donald Trump. America is definitely looking a lot stronger now. That wealth that comes out of Venezuela, that's very attractive oil and all of that. People constantly trying to get their hands on that. Better us than the Russians or the Chinese, who's already been strangling and choking this country, dry of its resources, and Cuba also. So, when you have an election, you have a president and you have an election, you're supposed to expect that the president is going to step down. And he didn't do that. Maduro made it seem like he won. The evidence came out that he lost. There's more than enough evidence to show that the election was stolen. It wasn't even stolen. He just refused to step down. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up as I keep going on. It's been live for 32 minutes. It's Monday, January the 5th. It's 9:51 p.m. It's beautiful, 70 degrees right about now. But yeah, the government has too much power control. Yeah, it's scary when the government has too much power, because the power goes to a small amount of people. At least the people still have some type of power in this country, and that's something that we should be grateful about, I guess. I mean, of course. But I guess some people, they don't like that. They want their socialism. I know they do. I know there's people out here, and this is what people are fighting for. Then you got people that just don't like Trump. You got Chuck Schumer who goes on live television and he speaks about Donald Trump being weak and not being aggressive towards Venezuela and letting Maduro do whatever he wants. That's what he said 4 years ago. And then just 2 days ago or yesterday, he's talking about that this is a violation. And it's like he didn't even kill the president. He actually captured him, kept him alive, and his wife, and flew him out so he can have his day in court. This is due process. But you don't take hostages, American hostages, as leverage, and don't think that United States is not going to respond in some type of way. It's all about these allies. It's all about creating a powerful kingdom that, your enemies won't take down. And you see what happened with Crimea. You see what happens, when Russia came in and just took over. Yeah, the United States has more interest in Ukraine, so they're backing Ukraine against Russia. But what happened with Crimea? Um, it was said that a lot of the people in Crimea already wanted wanted to be a part of Russia, anyways. You don't know what to believe, but of course you had those people, that supported it. But America's interests here in the Americas, of course, in the United States, in the South America, Central America, and this whole area, we have more of an interest here. And when you have people that are blatantly coming into your country, seeking refuge and leaving Venezuela because of that, you're going to keep an eye on Venezuela, and you're going to try to, see why do you have 7.7 million of your people running away from your country coming to the United States. That's unheard of numbers, and that's happened in a short amount of time. That could disrupt the economy and a whole society if you have just 7.7 million outsiders, foreigners come into your country. And there's already so many Hispanics. They say 16% of the population in the United States that we know of is Hispanic. That number probably increased under Trump, under Biden, I mean. So if you got 7.7 Venezuelans coming in here in 13 years, or less than 13 years, it's gonna change some things up, man. We got a lot of issues already, but so we got to deal now with other countries' issues, and it's like, all right, well, this is how they dealt with it, and I'm not mad at this at all. Listen, this is a power move. At the same time, you have allies, you have people cheering for this. I mean, what more can you ask for in this situation? Where just the people that are just never Trumpers. I'm a never Trumper. I'll never cheer for Trump. Even Anna Navarro of The View, even she said this was a good thing, but she had her, of course, her things to say about Donald Trump. Not that I even watch The View, but I follow her just to get a certain type of commentary that I think is just interesting to hear everybody's point of view. So if you know Anna Navarro of the View, Whoopi Goldberg, and all these crazy women, they have their point of views that I rarely agree with, and we rarely align. But here we are. Anna Navarro of The View actually thinks that this is a good thing, and she was out there celebrating with Venezuelans, and they were celebrating out here in downtown Lake Eola Park. You have Venezuelans going crazy. There's a big Venezuelan community in Florida and Orlando and Central Florida and Miami. You have Venezuelans in Tampa and all throughout this beautiful state of Florida. People flock to Florida. And I'm sure we got about half of that 7.7 million. Nah, probably overestimating that number, but what can we do at this point? I mean, you force the hand of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has no filter. He don't fucking hold back. When he wants to do something, he does it. When he's got his mind set on something, he doesn't shy. And you got to respect somebody like that. And as much as I don't agree with things that Trump has done in the past, and even in the recent past, the more recent past, you're never going to agree 100% with anybody, but at least you have, or unless you're in a cult, you're going to agree 100%. But at least you have somebody that he's where he stands. I don't see no great amount of lying when it comes to Trump. You know, of course, politicians are going to politic, and they're going to say things and then say something else, or say something, say they're going to do something and not do it, or say they're not going to do something and then they do it. So those things happen. You know, of course, you got to expect that from a politician, and I don't, you know, you got to call that out too. But I look at it like this. This was a situation that escalated. You could say Trump was the aggressor. I think sometimes you got to be aggressive in certain situations, instead of laying back and getting, you know, run over constantly. People just running through our southern borders, and they know that they could just come through here and they're going to get some type of, you know, it's just do it the legal way. I'll say, you know, my family did it the legal way. I'm a United States born American, born in New York City, red, white, and blue, Dominican, you know, by way of my family, of course, Dominican Republic. They have a good relationship with Venezuela. Dominicans and Venezuelans get along. There's a lot of Venezuelans in Dominican Republic too that fled to Dominican Republic to seek refuge. I know some Venezuelans up in New York City. I grew up around some of them coming from Queens. Lots of Venezuelans up in Queens. I went to school with them. I remember some of these people. You know, at this point, though, I can't say I've been following too closely what's going on in Venezuela since Maduro has come in. But I definitely remember the days of Hugo Chavez going, you know, back and forth with George Bush. The speech in the United Nations, you know, the memorable speech where Hugo Chavez says he can still smell the sulfur, because I believe George Bush was giving a speech in the United Nations just a few days before that. He said, I could still smell the sulfur, calling him like a devil or something. But yeah, man, Venezuela will see. I'm reading a comment by Andy Mack, or Andy Muck, 1952. Venezuela will see more of the oil benefit than ever before. Exactly. That's another thing, is Venezuela is going to see more of the oil benefit. When you get somebody that's strangling the economy and not letting the money trickle down to the people, once that person is removed, you're not going to have that same effect. It's going to completely turn things around. So right now, the production of oil is not being ramped up, is actually kind of being kept to a minimum right now. So that shows you that it wasn't right away an oil grab, because they're not even producing oil the way that they were when Maduro was there. So if that's what it's all about, why has it minimized so much? You know, but I'm definitely not denying the fact that that's definitely something that's going to pique your interest, but that comes along with everything else that I mentioned. That's just a bonus, and it's not a bad bonus. It's going to help us out as a country in this side of the world. This is our neighbor, our oil-rich neighbor. What better place to get oil from? Should we get it from the Iraqis? You know, if you want to just call it just an oil grab, you know, that's just where your mind goes. And this is like, how can you get into someone's mind and prove that, you know, when I'm just naming all the factors involved? People want to disregard that because it takes a lot to kind of look into this stuff, and it's a lot of thinking and reading. It's a lot of paying attention to the factors that surround everything that happened. People want to be simple because they're not well thought out and just say it's all about the oil, and they're not thinking about all the years, everything that's led up to this. It's been years It's been years. And the drugs coming out of Venezuela, what was a big problem for years, and it's coming right to our borders, and Venezuela was there's a connection with Maduro and drug runners that were caught, and then he let him out. And it was obvious that, these people were working with him. Big time drug movers. They would catch him on international waters, extradite him, send him back to Venezuela, and then they're roaming the streets with Rolexes, while the people are broke as hell. The people that make money are the drug runners in Venezuela. Come on. Maduro was a boxer with short arms. Yeah. The USA is a republic, not a democracy. Yep. I mean, I remember saying that when I started learning about, our country here, and yeah, we have a republic. We have elected officials. We have our voting, which is also it's democratic. It's a democracy with the voting, but then we have the elected officials that essentially can make decisions, along with judges, along with our different branches of the government, pretty much. So we have that power structure, and we, the people, vote these people into these positions. So it's better that we understand these things, to the best of our ability. And some of us could even run for these offices, and make the changes that you want to make according to, how you see it fit, according to our government, according to our rules in this country. Because there's only so much you can do, of course, but you can make some moves. You see it happening in different cities. Once mayors come in, you see what's happening with Mamdani in New York City. That guy pretty much lives in a town that I grew up in Astoria, Queens. That's where he lives. I lived there for 4 or 5 years in my childhood, and always hung out in Astoria, Queens. That's where Zoran Mamdani lives at right now. Literally the elected mayor of New York City. That's what they wanted. That's what we chose. This is our democracy. Now he's going to make the tough decisions. There was already things in place to where, okay, you're not going to just start a free bus system going on here in New York City. You're not just going to start just come into this mayor office and the office of the mayor and just start saying, well, I'm going to cancel all subway fares. And there were already things in place to where they raised the subway fare to $3, starting yesterday, I believe, or was it today? $3 now for you to ride the bus. I remember when it was a nickel. Nah, I'm kidding. I remember when it was $1. Then they moved it up to $1.25, then $1.50. And stayed at $1.50 for a little while. And then I left. I came back. It was $2. Then I left and I said, I'm gone. And when I went to visit just in July to New York City, the subway fare was like $2.90 per token or per ride, because they don't have the tokens. I remember they had the actual tokens that you put in the thing. Now they did away with the Metro card, because the Metro card replaced the tokens. Now they got everything through the phone or something. Yeah, I think it's all through your phone now. Some electronic thing. What if your phone dies? Well, you better carry your charger with you 24/7. 24/7. But yeah, man, I've met so many Venezuelans out here. I'm gonna go to a Venezuelan restaurant probably this weekend. I want to visit the Nando Grill, this famous Venezuelan restaurant. Show them some love, see what's going on with my people, my peoples. Yeah, nothing is free, Benny. Things will start going up because they need to compensate for where something else is lacking. They're like, oh yeah, well, we gotta now have a bus tax. There's already money that's set to go to different things. And Mayor Adams wasn't all that. I don't know how. I mean, he was better than de Blasio, because de Blasio was really bad. De Blasio was just giving money away to people that didn't even deserve it, that were even possible suspects and guilty, but because of technicalities in the system, they got off, and then they got paid money back from the city. I'm talking about offenders, violent offenders. It's crazy. I'm trying to think of the names of these stories or whatever, but there's definitely, the issue with the NYPD and de Blasio. De Blasio had no love for the cops. Cops had no love for de Blasio. It was a bad relationship. He could never stand with the police department. It was always, he has a political career, so he doesn't want to ruin it by being tough on crime, because he thinks he's gonna have some other opportunity in the future to do something else. So they continue their little career. It's a political career. They don't really care about the people. It's all just for, their friends or whatever in politics and higher places. And there's who knows where money's coming from. That's what you got. That's what's dangerous, about this these type of situations where people get power, and now you might have somebody in their ear with money. Hey, why don't we try to implement this and that? And it could be disastrous. But I mean, I wanted to come on this live. I wanted to talk about Nicolas Maduro and his capture, Donald Trump, and his power move to do what he did. Listen, I ain't here I'm an American, okay? I see what's going on in this country. I've been seeing what's going on in this state, in this very state, and in some of our southern states by the border. You can see some of the damage that's been done over the years. You hear of the stories. I don't know if you guys follow, some of the crime that's going on. I see what's happening. It's like the unnecessary crime of an illegal. Now you're illegal in a country. You're here in a country that we don't even want you here. And then you start committing crimes after you already broke the law by coming in here illegally, whether you're Venezuelan or whatever. And all the instability around the United States and these countries that surround the United States still affect us. And I look at this power move as something that's going to benefit us in a good way. War is never pretty. People die unnecessarily. And, there's been a few lives lost. There's been others that, they vowed to fight and die with Maduro, and they literally died. And what can I say but, don't mess with the boss. Don't mess with the big guns. Know your place. It was better to be an ally than to be the enemy. And it's better to create and build bridges than to destroy them, or to have animosity off the jump. And that's the relationship that Maduro always had with America. So it's always been issues with Americans in Venezuela. They've captured some, they've tormented some, they've had some held as hostages. They were released. You see, hostages were released in Utah, and they spoke to the media about what happened. You had elderly, you had older people, you had, I forget what the number was, but this is why they did what they did. A lot of people don't realize this has been boiling and building up to a certain point that now things have calmed down. The vice president of Venezuela is still in Venezuela running the government. But I don't know how long that's going to last, because the whole cabinet is illegitimate. The whole presidency was a farce. The election was stolen. I keep saying the election was stolen. It wasn't stolen. It was, well, yeah, you can say that, but I don't want to give y'all the wrong impression. It wasn't like anything was literally taken. It was, an election. Maduro lost, and then he refused to step down. President Gonzalez, or he's not even the president, he should have been the rightful heir to the office. He should have been the guy that became the president. He would have changed things up drastically. The people wanted a change in the regime, and the people voted for Maduro to get out. They voted for the other guy, Gonzalez, and Maria Machado, one of her, counselors. And they didn't get what they voted for. So this is a violation. So what they did, they took control of a situation that was already illegal. It was already violations, not to mention all the crazy stuff that was surrounding this president, who was just not an honest person, not trustworthy at all, and who had some dealings with major drug runners from Venezuela, Colombia, Bolivia, all those surrounding countries, all felt the effect of, a government that failed their people. People leave. They start to go to these other countries, the surrounding countries. So that's what happened here. It is 10:17 p.m. out here in Orlando, Florida. We got a lot going on. I think I'm gonna call it a night now. It's been fun. I want y'all to give this video a thumbs up, give it a like. You can subscribe to my channel, San Miguel TV. I do these live streams pretty regularly. I talk about religious stuff, politics, many different sides of the coin. It's important to talk about these things, get it out, and see what comes out on the other side. Let's talk more often, man. Let's talk again. Catch me on the next one. San Miguel TV, showing y'all nothing but love. I have nothing but respect for people that even disagree with me. If I come off a little aggressive, it's because I'm passionate about what I believe in. All right, so just tune into the next one. We'll talk about something else in the future, maybe some Hebrew Israelite stuff. I got a live that I want to do with Mr. Willie Valerie. Let's talk about some Israelite church and God of Jesus Christ type stuff. If y'all know what I'm talking about. Maybe y'all don't. Some of y'all do. But yeah, for the people that, if you don't know the history of my channel, you can just go through the old videos going back to 2017. March of 2017, I started this thing. And I'm going to keep doing videos. I got another video coming soon. So stay tuned. Keep watching San Miguel TV. Give the video a thumbs up again. Subscribe.